I just discovered a staking project that's gonna blow your mind, but it's not what you're thinking, because it's not some boring old layer 1 blockchain. Instead, it's a service that helps you stake on those chains. This project has accumulated so much stake that people are starting to worry about the amount of power they have over the top blockchains. But all I'm thinking is, dang, should I buy their token? Well, to answer that question, let's evaluate them across 6 different categories and then end with my final verdict. So the name of this project is Lido, and their token symbol is LDO. But before we analyze their token, we gotta look at its overall market opportunity, because a project could be amazing, but if its market size is too small, then we don't wanna touch it, right? It could be the best project ever and capture 100% of their niche, but if their niche is only worth like $1 billion, then there's not a lot of room for growth. Fortunately, this is not a problem for Lido at all. They are in the staking market, which is huge. If we look at all the proof of stake blockchains out there, and then add up the amount that people have staked on them, then we get a number north of $50 billion. And I bet that will continue to grow as more proof of stake blockchains launch, and as more people decide to stake for passive income. Ethereum will also single-handedly boost the staking market once they complete their upgrade to proof of stake. Right now, their staking participation rate is only 10%. So there's a lot of room for growth, and that 90% unstaked amount represents pure opportunity for projects like Lido. To be more specific, Lido solves 2 main problems when it comes to staking. The first problem is that staking by yourself is quite difficult. Some blockchains require a minimum amount of stake, which could be in the tens of thousands of dollars. And even if you have that, you'd have to run some complicated validator hardware, which requires technical skills that most people don't have. If you try running a validator node and mess up, you could lose some of your staked coins through a process called slashing, which makes the whole thing risky for beginners. Now, the second problem is that you lose liquidity and flexibility when you stake your coins, because they're effectively locked up. And that's why a lot of people don't want to deal with staking. They want the flexibility to use or trade their coins whenever they want. So by addressing both of these issues, Lido is able to serve the majority of users who are interested in staking. That's why I rate their market opportunity a 9 out of 10. Their opportunity is pretty much as big as a staking market gets. But in order to capture their market effectively, they gotta have a great solution and great technology. So let's see if they do by first understanding how it all works. So you start by sending ETH to their staking pool smart contract. They stake that ETH for you, and they give you their own staked ETH token, or STETH, in return. This STETH, you can trade it or use it in DeFi protocols as if it were actual ETH. But if you hold that token in your wallet, you can accumulate ETH staking rewards. It gets sent to you through a process called rebasing, and you don't have to do anything to get it. Your STETH balance is updated once a day to reflect your staking rewards, and there's no transaction needed. You also don't have to pay anything extra to use Lido. They just deduct a 10% cut from your staking rewards. By the way, this STETH token that you get, you will eventually be able to swap it back for ETH on a one-to-one basis a few months after the merge upgrade happens. Okay, so that's how Lido works, but we're still missing a key part of their system. They're validators or node operators. They are the ones that are actually using the staked ETH to do the consensus work for Ethereum. Like, they process transactions, they store data, and they add blocks to the blockchain. But with Lido's approach, those validators do not have direct access to our staked funds, because Lido doesn't send our coins directly to the validators. They delegate to them instead, which is much better in terms of security. And for their work, Lido validators get a 5% cut of the staking rewards. Overall, I think their solution is elegant and solves the problem well. That's why I'm giving them an 8 out of 10 when it comes to technology. But just how well has their tech translated into actual growth and adoption? Well, let's find out. But before we get there, I want to share another great way to earn passive income besides staking, and that's through crypto trading bots. I've actually used a lot of bots before for momentum trading, grid trading, etc. And in general, I think it's a good idea to use bots with a slice of your portfolio, so you're not just relying on one type of strategy. But today I want to highlight Bitsgap, a trading bots platform that's also our video sponsor. They have a ton of different bots for all sorts of market conditions. Doesn't matter if it's bear market, bull market, or sideways market. They have bots that can perform for each of those. For bigger coins like ETH or SOL, they've seen returns returns of around 9% a month. And for smaller, riskier coins, it could get up to 70% a month. Of course, there's no guarantees that you'll get any profits because that does depend on market conditions and the bots that you select after all. But there's no risk to try them out because you can get a 7-day free trial with no credit card required, and they have a demo mode where you can try them out without using your actual funds. Bitsgap supports the top 15 exchanges, and they only require API access, so they never hold any of your funds. If any of that sounds interesting to you, then go try them out, use my link below. Alright, back to Lido's growth and adoption. And I gotta say that I am impressed by how far they've come. Just look at this graph showing the amount of ETH staked with Lido. It's a certified rocket ship. And if we look at this chart, we see that Lido is the largest depositor of staked ETH on the Beacon chain, more than double of the number 2 entity, Coinbase. Lido also supports more than just Ethereum. They have 5 networks supported in total, and collectively, there's around $7 billion staked from over 175,000 users. Perhaps one reason that explains this meteoric growth is that they've done a great job at getting their staked ETH token integrated everywhere. Like the curve pool for STETH and ETH has the highest total value locked in it. That pool even beats out the most popular stablecoin pools, like the one for DAI, USDC, and USDT. You can also use STETH to do lending and borrowing through Aave, or use it to mint DAI through MakerDAO. So we're starting to see real network effects emerge for STETH. And guess what? That's going to get even more people to stake with them, because there's no reason not to if you can use your STETH as if it were ETH itself. Overall, Lido's growth speaks for itself, and that's why I'm giving them an 8 out of 10 for this aspect. So we got all these 8 out of 10 and 9 out of 10 ratings. So that must mean that the token is a buy, right? Well, not so fast, because I found 3 red flags when researching their tokenomics. First, their token is terrible at capturing value, because LDO is only for governance currently. So if you hold it, you don't get a share of the generated fees, and they aren't doing token buybacks either. That means even if their service gets more and more popular, it won't necessarily translate into price appreciation for their token. As for their second red flag, it's that their token distribution is super centralized. Like 64% of their initial distribution was allocated to insiders. And even right now, if we look at the top 100 holders, they have 91% of the overall supply. This means that whales could easily manipulate the price of LDO if they wanted to. And the third red flag is that we just don't know much about their token emissions. There's literally no schedule as to when more of their tokens will hit the market. It's all up to the DAO's discretion, and they can release tokens whenever they please. Currently, there's 60% of their supply circulating, so a whopping 40% is yet to hit the markets. And that's not good from an investment standpoint, because we want to know what the unlock schedule is so that we can be prepared for selling pressure. Overall, I'm not a fan of the tokenomics, and I'm giving them a 4 out of 10 in this category. Now, so far we've only looked at the past, but the future is what really matters, right? So let's turn to their roadmap to see if they have a convincing vision and plan. And one thing they want to do is improve decentralization for their project. To do that, they're going to make it permissionless to become a validator for Lido. As of right now, you have to apply and get approved by their DAO in order to become one. But in the future, they want to make it so that anyone can join. Something else they're working on is improving their governance process to make it more robust and resilient to capture. This is actually super important for Ethereum, because if Lido controls enough of the stake, then they'd have the power to screw with the blockchain's operations. So we really don't want them to get corrupted, and that's why the team put it on their roadmap to strengthen their governance processes. Now, another major goal of theirs is to turn to other chains besides just Ethereum. They started with ETH, and once they found success there, they slowly expanded to other chains. So I expect that expansion to continue, and for them to improve their offerings for those other chains too. Overall, I think they're headed in the right direction. Plus, they have a great track record, so I'm giving them a 7 out of 10 in this area. Now, Lido is without a doubt the top dog in their niche, but they just can't relax and pat themselves on the back, because they got competitors gunning for them in the staking vertical. Like from the centralized side, there's Coinbase, who's the second largest entity for ETH2 deposits besides Lido. And Coinbase recently launched their own version of staked ETH called CBETH, which you can also use outside of their exchange. Honestly, Coinbase looks formidable given their millions of users and their solid brand reputation. And on the decentralized side, Lido has competitors such as Rocket Pool. Now, Rocket Pool is a lot smaller and they only support Ethereum, but their RPL token is arguably better than Lido because it has actual utility besides just governance. For example, Rocket Pool validators have to stake RPL in order to participate. So if their service becomes more popular, then that translates into direct demand for RPL. Overall, I think Lido is in a good place right now and they don't have too much to worry about, but in terms of competitive advantage, I'm giving them a 6 out of 10. Alright, it's time for my final verdict, and I'm giving them a 7 out of 10. I think Lido is super valuable and I wouldn't hesitate to use it myself. But as of right now, I would not touch their LDO token because tokenomics matter and theirs is not great. Remember, I gave them a 4 out of 10 in that category. Either way, we gotta keep our eyes on them to see how they evolve, and if you wanna watch another review video, then catch this one about Chainlink.